We lost Syya. All right, we're live, and we just lost Syya. So, hey, Jim, how are you?
I sure can't clear a room, can I, Erin? That's great.
You can. You shouldn't have made those inappropriate jokes before we went live.
It was too early for him. Sorry, way too early.
You have offended her. All right, well, while Syya comes back, we'll keep going. I'm Erin, Gregor, co-chair of Dallas GLO, and Jim, we were welcoming Jim Hall here. Jim, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Nice to see you again.
Yes, good to see you too. You're the co-founder of TallyStreet, but you are also the Denver Chair, the chair of the Denver chapter of GLO. So
yes.
For those of you who aren't familiar, I'll do a quick thing on GLO and then have you introduce yourself. GLO stands for Global Leaders Organization. We do an event every Thursday where we hear from a leader. Yesterday was, I'm not ready for this. Oh, there's Syya. Hey, Syya.
Hi, guys. Good morning.
All right. I was just about to intro Jim.
Hey, Jim. Hey, guys. Welcome to the Afterglow. Oh, Jim Hall, Denver. Or
hello.
Not Denver.
Yeah. Denver.
You are Denver. Oh, my gosh. How is Denver? What's the weather like?
It's beautiful. 75 and sunny. It's awesome.
Oh, great.
Denver weather.
Ski resorts are opening this weekend, so it's beautiful.
That's huge. Hey, we got Tino in the house. Tino in Houston. Tino is our Dallas chair out in Houston. So look at that. We got some chapter support and love going on. So Jim, yes, you are the chapter chair in Denver. How is things going for you and GLO?
It's going well, getting people motivated to start interacting and connecting and networking. Certainly, all this, COVID shutdown we're dealing with. Denver just went on another level higher this week. So kids are, going back home remote learning, and people are being told to stay at home and if they can, they don't have to go in. So it makes it harder for the business folks. You're not only a business person, but you're much more a teacher, a parent, social worker, peacekeeper, a lot of hats to wear every day. And so it makes it a little harder, but certainly Denver business community is doing well and working hard.
Love it. I personally love going to Colorado, especially when you fly into your special airport. Nothing makes you feel more welcome than a horse with like big glowing eyes, like rearing its,
Right.
But,
right.
So talk to us about TallyStreet, because you know what? We are all entrepreneurs and business owners, and we definitely want to help and grow our community. So tell us, what exactly is TallyStreet, Jim?
Sure. TallyStreet, we're a customer data analytics software solution for B2B companies. So many times you talk to business owners and their focus is on growing new customers, finding new customers, and that's a great thing to do. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but many businesses sort of don't really understand what's happening with their existing customers and how their existing customers are growing, where upsells and cross-sell opportunities might be available, concentration risk, revenue retention, things like that. So it's really about bringing managerial accounting to the masses. So many times businesses and their finance teams focus on financial accounting, which is your P&L and balance sheet and just doing your taxes right and all those kinds of great things, which is certainly important. But being able to, so you do all this hard work, getting all your numbers right. Well, now what do you do with it? Do you just print the balance sheet and P&L and shove it in a file, or keep it on your computer somewhere and never look at it and don't take any action? Well, that's not good. So we're teasing out these untold stories about your customers from the data that you work so hard to maintain and pay a lot for your CPA and accountants to maintain as well. So that's what we're all about, is uncovering those stories with data analytics.
Well, we were just talking about data analytics last week, right, with Dr. Durr and the importance of it. And the fact that, I admit, us as smaller businesses, sometimes we don't realize how important that data is to grow our business. it's easier to overlook it because, you know, we're all wearing multiple hats and we think we know what's going on. How often do you see, you know, smaller to mid-sized enterprises embrace that data and understand how to parse it? Or is it still education on your side?
It's still very much educational on our part. I think what we found is that very few small to mid-sized business owners have the time to do this type of analytics. They're busy. They're wearing a million hats, you know, more today because of COVID, certainly, but they're really busy. It's not their top priority. Second is talent. They don't have the skills to do it. You know, they may know enough to be dangerous in QuickBooks or in their accounting software. They might know how to work a spreadsheet fairly well, but you know, to download a data set and merge it and sort it and do all that type of, you know, work, you know, the skills that it takes, they don't don't have that talent. And if they don't have the talent, they got to pay somebody to do it. They don't have the money to do that because they're, you know, they want to spend their money elsewhere. So we provide a very affordable, very actionable tool that the small to mid-sized business owner can afford and also implement without having an IT department.
That's huge.
Just connect and go. You don't need to have an IT resource. You know, you don't need to have a data scientist on staff to figure out what it's telling you. You know, we do all that work for you with software, smart software, to give you those insights to help you drive your business to greater success, and allows you to spend it on strategic conversations around what the data is actually telling you, not the time to get the data and manipulate the data.
That's awesome. Much needed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, I just want to get some shout outs to, there's a lot of morning people today, and thanks for joining. So in my magic mirror, good morning, Mr. Mike Weiner, who's also part of it. Our, you know, the Dallas crew, Jonathan, Leslie, Leanne. Hey girl, good to see you. So analytics to me is, it seems like it'd be a no brainer, don't you think, as a business owner, but yet we overlook it at times. Do you think it has to go back to our guest this week? On GLO, we had Kara Goldin join us, and the founder of Hint, which I had no idea that I've seen it, and I just never looked at the product because it's just not something I necessarily look for. But what did you guys think of Kara this week?
I thought she was awesome, but go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I thought she was great. You know, a lot of the things that she talked about apply across industries. You know, sort of, you know, building the plane in the air, I thought was a great comment that she made, which, you know, you don't necessarily have to have all the answers, but just ensure that you create a good feedback loop with your customers. You know, give them the product, get their feedback, adjust, and move forward, right? It's a very simple circular process, or hopefully it's a spiraling process going up and to the right, but it's a spiraling process. You know, that feedback loop is super important. You know, being nimble and being able to respond to feedback quickly, I think is really important. I'm reminded of a comment or a quote that's attributed to Henry Ford about, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse. And I think that's a great comment. It's like, well, people didn't necessarily want a faster horse. They just wanted to get from A to B faster. And he just found a better way to do it. So, you know, people don't necessarily, and customers don't necessarily know the solutions. They just know the problem. Here's my problem. Right. Here's what I don't want. Here's what I'm trying to solve. I don't necessarily have the answer. If I did, I'd start my own business. But, you know, so it was an interesting comment about that, building the plane while you're in the air. And here at TallyStreet, we're doing that every day, listening to feedback from, you know, our advisors, our users, our business owners that are telling us, here's the things that I'm worried about. Here's the things that I care about. Here's the thing that I'm being asked by my board, my investors, my team. We work to adjust our reports to prioritize and uncover those stories that people are most questioning, most answering, most wanting to have answers for. So we love that feedback.
Yeah, I think as a small business, that's probably our greatest strength and our greatest weakness. Like, we have that ability to be nimble. We have that ability to connect with customers and get that feedback. But we have to also be careful that we're not too sold on our own idea, that we're not listening and saying, well, you're wrong, because this is a great product. And I loved how humble Kara was yesterday, and really talked a lot about, you know, how important that was for her to get right. And I think true entrepreneurs can swallow their own pride to figure out the greater good of their customer. But it's that figuring out that's so important.
It's a real balancing act, right?
Mhm.
It's like you can't get stuck in I know better than you versus I don't listen to what you say, as opposed to, oh my God, we got to pivot because one person made one comment about one
Exactly.
thing, and it's like, well, that's one opinion. So you got to really balance that. It's a very delicate wire to balance, right? At the end of the day, I think a lot of the true entrepreneurs, they also, I know in our case, I've suffered through this pain in my business life. So, and I'm a banker for 20 plus years. So I've seen plenty of small business owners that were really good at their business, but were not financially the most sophisticated, savvy people in the world, and certainly not data scientists. So stay in your lane, get the feedback, understand what you know, but getting that information and helping you make strategic decisions is what TallyStreet's really all about.
I love that. And maybe we could sit down on that, because that is my utter weakness. And I understand that I'm not something I need to improve on myself. Right. So let's talk. You mentioned though, the building while you're flying a plane. Let's talk about that analogy a little bit more, because I do think as entrepreneurs, there is an assumption, especially for those that maybe are looking to become entrepreneurs or leaving their corporate life, or maybe they're getting helped along that path, because let's be honest, ageism does exist in corporate America, right? So, people that are looking for their next career, or even the younger folks that are just saying, screw it, I'm just going to start my own, right? Mm-hmm. How often do you think people don't launch their businesses because they think they need to have that plane built and flying at Mach 3 versus flying it and then building, as you go?
Yeah, I think quite a few. And I think that it's not necessarily, I think a big part of it's fear. But also I think part of it is you want to feel like you're going to have success from day one. And it's, we've been working on TallyStreet for over 4 years now. So, between just the thought process and the analysis that we did and understanding, like, what do we want to do? What problems do we really want to solve? How do we want to present this? Getting some early feedback from very early adopters, friends of ours, close associates, etc. And then putting it out there, finally just saying, you know what, we're going to launch it in January, and then COVID hit in March. So, our users, our primary, sales channel was accountants and advisors, bookkeepers type people, right? And all of a sudden, CARES Act and PPP, and they're dealing with their own stuff in their business, plus their family, plus, quite frankly, their clients' businesses, so they're dealing with all the upheaval in their businesses as well. So it was very hard to get their attention. But you just got to roll with it. It gave us a lot of great feedback. What are the things that people are concerned about? If nothing else, it made companies that maybe had concentration risk with any one customer or one industry that bubbled to the top. It became super important. And I felt that it was very much a barbell economy for a while, where it was either you're doing really well because this COVID helped your business because it was critical or the right time or the right answer or whatever, or you really struggled because you couldn't open. You were a restaurant, you were whatever. So I feel like that was very much a barbell impact, so that's what we've seen anyway in our data.
Yeah. And I think the failure thing, I 100% agree with you, Jim. I think it's fear. I think it's an excuse, because I think they'd come up with something else. I always say this about money too. Mm-hmm. I've seen people who are broke come up with money for the most random things that I'm like, wow, you really find that money, or you find that information when you need to. But I think what people have to, you can have the most solid business plan in the world, solidly written and sound and thought through everything, and you just don't know until you launch. Like, like to Jim's point, COVID could happen. Well, your business plan is shot. So then what? You've got to be willing to learn to pivot and build along the way and change and listen. But you can't wait till everything's done. Like I've heard, jump and figure out how to build the net type of thing. So same type of analogy, but yes, you need to have some sort of plan, but if you wait to have it perfect, you'll never know everything you need to know.
Yeah, if you wait to have it perfect, or if you expect it to go exactly as you have it drawn out in terms of step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and the timing of those steps, I'm
Never
sorry. The
happens.
only thing I know about a plan is that it's wrong. And just a matter of,
Yes.
how wrong at the end of the day. I've never, I've seen many times when it comes to those types of things where all I know about this situation is that it's going to change. It's just, this is my best guess. And a certain percentage of it's going to be right, but a lot of it's probably wrong. But it's our best guess based off the information that we have today. The only thing you need to be truly confident in and truly comfortable with is your ability to be nimble and your ability to pivot if you need to quickly and decisively. I know Kara mentioned, having what 40% of her business initially at Hint was with Starbucks.
Yep.
And Starbucks called her one day and said, guess what? We're going to start putting food in the cold bins and not your drink product. And so, whoops, that's a tough call to get, but they were able to pivot quickly, went to some other distribution channels, and were able to manage through that. I know she also mentioned that with COVID, a big part of their business was sales to large offices like a Google's or the Yelps or whatever in Silicon Valley and around the country, actually, like providing Hint water for their staff in their office kitchens. And with COVID, well, guess what? People weren't coming to the office, so they pivoted really quickly to say, well, let's not market that. Let's start marketing our direct to consumer. And I would have loved to have heard some real, like, how did you do that? Because, my mind was thinking, well, I would have offered every office employee a free first case of Hint delivered to their home to establish that, connection. Like, we're with you, we support you, we know you're dealing with this. Here's a case of Hint and a coupon for your next case, some kind of a discount to get them in the habit of ordering it, right, and drinking it. So that would have been I would have done that.
Yeah.
And maybe she did. I don't know. I don't know, but it was just interesting to listen to her talk about that.
Well, it just brings up a previous speaker, Ami Kassar, or was it before that one? Oh my gosh, we had so many great speakers on GLO. I think I'm messing up the
Ami was a week ago, yeah. Ami was a week ago, yeah.
But it was, I think it was actually the Netflix, Patty McCord, which is people have an expectation of an experience. And once you deliver that one experience first time around, they're looking to get that same experience the next time around. And the fact that Hint, when she said you have to challenge yourself along the way and not be fearful, the fact that she said they launched sunscreen, and right. I loved that because it was Hint already has it's almost like that the vibe of you're drinking healthier. There's no sugar in the water. It tends to be the demographic that leads a healthier lifestyle, maybe more conscious about what they're putting on their in their body as well as on their body. And they were saying that she was questioned about that launch of the sunscreen. Do you guys think that was a good move on Hint's part or not? Because I do think I see where the naysayers to her saying, what are you doing? Stay in your lane, but not. What do you guys think of that? Because
time will tell. Time will tell, right? I mean, she has the nice thing about it is she has, like you said, the demographics for that product and the type of people that are buying Hint would probably buy that. So she has that audience, she has that exposure, she has that voice. Now, again, it needs to be a good experience and it needs to work. And certainly, but she has that audience. So I've seen companies do all kinds of things like that, where it's like, why, like Johnson & Johnson is a prime example. They're into everything, consumer product, consumer goods, right? So, it's just, you got to start somewhere, right? They started with one thing and went to the second and went to the third. At some point, someone's like, why are you selling that? It's time will tell. At the end of the day, time will tell. But I do believe in very much being true to your core, right? Being true to your core. But you really need, again, it's about knowing your customer really well. And that's what TallyStreet's all about. It's about really knowing your customer, what they're buying, when they're buying, how they're paying, when they're paying, when the patterns change, why, what are the good patterns that you've developed. Do more of that, encourage more of that, marketing it appropriately, etc. So, but if you don't have the data, you really don't know your customer, and knowing their birthday doesn't count. That's not knowing your customer. That's great. That's a personal connection. That's awesome. But it's really about understanding what they're buying and who your best customers are, and are they upselling? If you're upselling, what are you upselling, etc. But if you don't have the data, you don't know what to do.
Well, and I think with the care of the sunscreen, if you have the data that proves it, like you said, Jim, you got to execute at some point. Like, try to expand. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But, I'm assuming they did their due diligence, saw that, yeah, the customers match up. Yeah, this could be a good product. And at some point, there's been a lot of stories about naysayers that were ignored, and you see very successful companies because of it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Can I switch a little bit? Because here you have her story, and Kara was extraordinarily giving to share what she didn't know, which was she launched this beverage business, right? And then the Whole Foods person said, okay, now you have to distribute it. You need longer shelf life. And she's like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I mean, and the fact that she actually went from I don't know what you're talking about to finding it and solving it and executing. And then she launches into sunscreen, which is a totally different ball of wax, if you will, different distribution, different, like, I guess I'm fascinated by that, you guys, is it really a key of success that she launches this business, has a great idea and concept, but how many businesses fail when they're like, I don't know where to go. I have a great idea, but I don't have distribution. I feel like she's kind of lucky. She got lucky or what, you guys? Like,
she didn't get lucky. There's stories of this all the time. She did I have seen so many entrepreneurs that it's like, okay, you want to build a business, but it's going to take A, B, C, D, E, and F. And they're like, oh, I'll do A, but all those rest, Like I've been part of companies that have taken things to market, and there's a lot of work behind it. What it just shows of her as a person, yes, we can say luck. Things do have to fall into place for you, but you've got to be doing massive action in order to A, obtain that luck, and B, take advantage of that luck. To have somebody tell you this is where you go, and you listen and you do. So there's just too many people that the information's out there. You can Google, you can find, you can call anyone you'd ever want to get information from. Some people may not be willing to give it to you, but for every 10 that's not, there is a couple that are. So you got to find that couple. And how hard are you willing to work to obtain that information? That's really, and then execute on what you're told. Those two things, that's going to tell you how much you're going to succeed as an entrepreneur versus luck, in my eyes.
Well, and Syya, you kind of hit the nail on the head when you said humble, right? When you go into a situation with somebody and you're asking them for a favor or asking them for information, if you're humble and say, you know what, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know all the answers, but I know you do. I trust that you can help me navigate through this a little bit, but being really humble about it and just saying, I know a lot, but I don't know everything. Is part of the entrepreneur's mantra, right? It's like, I don't know everything. I just know that this problem exists and I know there's an opportunity here. I'm trying to really understand it. So, but having that humility is a big part of an entrepreneur's toolkit.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. She also mentioned the baby steps, right? Mm-hmm. So you might have that big goal of maybe launching a sunscreen product. I'm picking on this one just because, Karen talked about it, but man alive, do we realize what the baby steps are, you guys? Like, again, we are business owners. We have our goals and objectives as business, in our business. But do you think enough of us know what take one step foot in front of the other? Or do you think we jump too much?
Well, there are no shortcuts. There aren't any shortcuts. You really aren't, but it's important to have the ultimate goal in mind. I always believe that, the ultimate goal. When you're climbing a mountain, you don't just say, "Oh, I'm gonna get from here to there." Well, that's great, but there's like several intermediate areas you have to go through and get your equipment right, and et cetera, et cetera. So, here in Colorado, we get that all the time. We see people come from out of state. It's like, I'm going to climb Long's Peak, and it's like, well, you don't know that it's a 7-hour climb, and you got to be off there by noon, and you're running around in shorts and cut off jeans and a t-shirt. It's like, no, that's just dumb. So you have to have the end in mind, but you have to really understand and think about the baby steps. But truly, you just got to go as well. You can't be, what's the right word? Frozen by fear. It's just, you just need to have confidence in your ability to get there and go, and you'll learn along the way, and you'll stumble and take some missteps here and there. That's part of that growing process. No, I don't think there's ever been one entrepreneur you ever would talk to, one business owner, no matter how successful they are, that would say, I knew exactly what to do every step of the way. Not even Warren Buffett would say that. I mean, he's a very humble guy, but you know, even the most arrogant, maybe Trump might, but anyway, but there's, you know, they made mistakes along the way. They just did, you know, and that's part of growing. It's part of the growing of a human being, right? You don't have all the answers, and you hope that you have good people around you to help you, you know, see some things that you don't.
I think it's important too, and I'd say this is probably one of my biggest weaknesses, is to respect the baby steps and appreciate them too. Like to look back and see how far you've come
and celebrate them.
And celebrate them. Right. Yeah. Versus, okay, you know, I baby stepped my way halfway to this goal, but I don't want to look back and be like, great job on the, it's like, I still got a halfway to go. So right. I think there's a lot of respect on both ends to understand that they're baby steps, but also to appreciate the baby steps that you've done. And
Kara mentioned that, you know, specifically as well, about celebrating the successes along the way, right?
Yeah,
it's a big motivator, right? Just, hey, you know, we did, you know, we signed up 3 people this last week. You know, great, that's amazing. It's not our end goal, you know, but hey, we sold some stuff this week, and people see the value, and that's important. So what can we do to leverage that? You know, can we get a testimonial? Can we get more referrals from them, or what, you know, whatever. But it's all about celebrating those interim successes. And again, and recognizing the failures, you know, as well. It's like, hey, we didn't have success this week. You know, why not? What can we do better? You know, that's all very important stuff.
You know, it's so funny, like everything you're saying, it just so rings true. Right. And I think it's as a result of, as Kara was saying, is like she accidentally did things, or she's an accidental entrepreneur, accidental author. But she overcame it by just doing those baby steps, not having the fear, right? You can still do baby steps. And like, I've seen it. Have you seen those videos where there's people like walking across a bridge and it's like, you know, the bridge over 500 feet or whatever, and they're just overcoming their fears, just doing it one step at a time.
Right.
What a perfect analogy for business and in life, right? And, you know, she was, you know, I just love the fact that she said, you know what, if you're going to launch a business, do it, know what your end goal in sight is, and know that you're going to be constantly building that plane as you go. I love that analogy, because that is us, right? We're not going to be on a jetliner from the get-go. It might be a single prop, right? And then as you kind of get more sophisticated in your business, then you can start throwing in the jet engines, if that makes sense. So, gosh, Jim, I love talking to you, and you know, with GLO, we meet so many people. We're networking with so many amazing, you know, business leaders. For those that want to get a hold of you and want to understand TallyStreet a little bit more in depth, how can they get a hold of you?
You know, they can go to TallyStreet.com or at withglo.com and look at the Denver chapter information and to track me down. It's not hard. I'm not hiding. You know, those are probably the 2 best places to go to get a hold of me. Yeah, it's I love to connect with people. I love networking. You know, being a banker for 20 plus years, that was my number one job, was to understand my community and understand the people and the challenges that they were facing, and how can the bank help answer the question. And now I'm doing that with TallyStreet, with, you know, B2B SMB software, you know, to help them understand their customers better, because I know the struggle that business owners face trying to uncover those hidden stories inside their accounting data and use them to grow their business. It's all about growing their business. Absolutely. And Erin.
Yeah. So what the conversation we're talking about today is about GLO, Global Leaders Organization. You can head over to With GLO, GLO, see all the upcoming events. We're doing these every week. We'd love for you, if you're in the Denver area, to join Jim, to become a premium member there. You get a lot of really awesome perks. Or if you're in the Dallas area, join us as a premium member. And we'd love to have you aboard.
Broncos and Cowboys don't usually get along, but, you know, today we do.
Well, that's funny.
I'm still bitter against the Broncos from 99. I'm a Packers fan. I'm not a Cowboys fan. A Packers
fan. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. Whole new can of worms just came
up. Let's not go. Let's just, you go, Syya, you go.
I was just going to say, Erin, you should be happy. The Niners got their, you know what, whooped last night. So, you know, I don't even know what to say right now. And I'm not even a football person. But on that note, you guys, next week, okay, so here's the fun thing. GLO every week. has amazing speakers. So next week is I hope I'm saying his name right. Dave McCowan. He is the host of Lead Like You Give a Damn podcast. Really exciting guy. And he's going to be talking about, current leadership models that, we think has been successful, but maybe at that point in time it was, but not necessarily now. And what he's seeing, I guess he's going to share with 3 steps on focus and how to look at the day-to-day as well as the midterm and the long term. What we were just talking about with Kara, talking about baby steps, he's saying now put it in perspective of little, mid, and long term from a leadership perspective. So, and then talking very focused on team dynamics, the disciplines in order for a group of people to work together successfully. So if you are not a member of GLO, you can actually see it Thursdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time on YouTube as well as Facebook Live. And if you are a GLO member, you will have VIP access of private Q&A after the fact that you can talk to Dave McCown directly. Kara Goldin yesterday, I couldn't tell you how exciting it was to see all our GLO members just hammering her with questions. And she was actually gracious enough to stay longer. So there is value in these online. I know it's online, but that one-on-one connectivity with amazing speakers is really one of the big reasons why GLO is so cool and unique. So without further ado, Erin, any other parting thoughts?
Nope.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. And if you guys want to watch this again, I'm actually starting to load this up more frequently on YouTube. So hit us up on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. And you guys have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you on the Afterglow next week.